It's May 12th, 1828. You heard a loud noise in the heavens. A spirit instantly appeared to you and told you the serpent was loosened, and Christ himself has laid down the yoke he has borne for the sins of men, and that you should take it on and fight this serpent. The time when first should be last and the last should be first was fast approaching. Hey guys, my name is Logan. Welcome back to another episode of Better History. First off, I want to thank all of you. We've hit 100 viewers, and we're pretty close to my total of, I think it's around like 30 total followers. I think I'm around like 20 total followers, maybe 15. I don't know, somewhere around that. But thank you guys so much for watching. And today we're learning about Nat Turner, and I got all this information from an expert from the Confessions of Nat Turner, written by Thomas Ruffin Gray. Well, let's get right into it. So, the start of this episode was my own version of what Mr. Gray and Nat Turner talked about, and in that case, you were Nat Turner. So, the way that Nat Turner and his buddies snuck into the house was through a window. Nat said, quote, "Hark got a ladder and set it against the chimney, on which I ascended, and hoisting a window, entered and came down the stairs," end quote. Now, after Turner entered the house, he took all of the guns and made sure that no one in the house could get them. So he put them like aside. He's just like, gun, useless, threw it aside. So, making sure that nobody could, try and kill them. After that, they entered his master's chamber, specifically Turner and his buddy Will. Now, it was dark, obviously, because they're sleeping, and it's 2 in the morning, right? It's going to be dark, guys. It's dead at night. So, when Nat tried to kill Mr. Turner, Mr. Travis, he missed. Travis sprung up and called for his wife, but that was the last thing he did, as he would die, and moments later, Mrs. Travis would have the same fate. There were 5 total in the Travis family, and all of them were murdered. The 5th member of the Travis family was an infant, and Nat Turner forgot about him. So around halfway to the next house, which is Miss Reese's plantation, Nat Turner turned around and he's like, "Oh crap, there's a child." So he sent 2 men, Will and Henry, to go back, and they killed the child. Now, I want to get into Nat Turner's childhood because for this next part, it's pretty important. So, Nat Turner was born on October 2nd of 1800 in Southampton County, Virginia. His mother's name was Nancy, and his father was unknown. He was given the name of his owner, Benjamin Turner, which makes him the infamous Nat Turner. Jeez, I cannot pronounce things today. Although Turner was allowed to read, write, and was instructed in religion, meaning they taught him religion, he would still end up doing some pretty bad things to the Turner family, which we will be getting to in a second. Nat Turner spent a lot of his free time reading the Bible, praying, and fasting. Nat Turner eventually grew up to become a preacher. Now, this is interesting because, you think about this and you think of preachers, and you're like, preachers are such great people. They don't harm people, they're nice. Well, Nat Turner's kind of a bad preacher. He was a good preacher, but he was a violent preacher. He preached to the slaves on all the plantations he worked on. He worked on a lot. He was back and forth all the time. So he believed he received messages from God through visions and nature. Nat Turner said that he saw a sign from God to escape the plantation, and then not that long later, he said he saw another sign telling him to return to the plantation, which is weird. God told him to leave, and God told him to come back and to continue serving his purpose on the plantation. So not long after Turner returned, a man by the name of Thomas Moore took over his previous owner, Turner, when he died. And when Mr. Moore died, his wife married John Travis. Turner was then sent to work on the Travis plantation, which brings us back to about where we are. So, after Nat and his friends kill the Travises, they then proceed to the Reese plantation. Here they kill Mrs. Reese in her sleep. Now, after they kill Mrs. Reese, her son is awake. He's awake. He heard them kill his mother, that's gotta suck. And Nat and his friends realize this, and they kill him immediately, sending him back to bed forever. Now, after that, they went to Mrs. Turner's, which is only about a mile away. And on the way there, they saw a local white man by the name of Mr. Peebles, and they killed him. Pretty sad. But they arrived at Mrs. Turner's on about sunrise of the same day, so Monday. Turner said as they approached the house, the Turner family noticed them. That's so weird. As Turner said, they approached the house, the Turner family noticed them. Anyway, they locked all of the doors. They shut and locked all of the doors when they saw Nat Turner approaching the house, which that's not good when you're trying to kill people, right? But Nat said that was useless because Will, his buddy, opened the door with an axe with one swing. As they entered the house, they found Mrs. Turner and Mrs. Newsome, scared to death in the middle of a room. Turner said, quote, Will immediately killed Mrs. Turner with one blow of his axe. I took Mrs. Newsome by the hand. With a sword, I struck her several times over the head. But not being able to kill her, as the sword was dull, Will, turning around and discovering it, dispatched her also. Nat Turner then said that his company amounted to around 15 people at that time. They then proceeded to Mr. Levi Waller's, about 2 to 3 miles away. Turner said that he took his station in the rear of the group of people and said his objective was to carry terror and devastation wherever they went. Nat placed his best men up front, who approached the houses swiftly and struck terror on the people living in the homes. Turner said, quote, I sometimes get insight in time to see the work of death completed, unquote. After they killed Mrs. Waller and her, 10 children, that's a lot of children, they headed for the man with my favorite name of all time, Mr. William Williams. While Nat Turner and his guys were killing Mr. William Williams and his 2 little boys, Mrs. Williams fled and got distance from the house before she was overtaken and forced back to the house, while she will be forced to lay next to her lifeless husband and hold the very same fate moments later. Evil begets evil. My U.S. history teacher, Mr. Robinson, said that in class on Friday. This was what Nat Turner realized that night in May. The only way to fight slavery and the daily beatings of his friends and family was to do the same to the white men, but obviously not enslave them. That's what they're fighting against. Now, after going to a few more houses, Nat Turner stopped to rest. Moments later, he was roused with an alarm that they were going to be attacked. Now, this is not good, right? They don't want to die. Nat and his group of black men started to trace their tracks back to where they started. But when they got inside of the previous house they were at the day before, they saw a group of white men. Every single man but 2 deserted Nat. Nat and the remaining 2 hid themselves in the wood until night came. At that time, Nat sent those last 2 men to search for Henry, Sam, Nelson, and Hark, some of his old buddies that fled. On Wednesday, a few days later, Nat lost hope that those 2 guys that he sent out, he started to believe that they betrayed him, right? So, on Thursday, he supplied himself with a bunch of provisions, which is food, from Mr. Travis's, and then he scratched a hole under a pile of fence rails, and he stayed there for 6 weeks. He only left the hole at the dead of night to get water, and, it was terrible. It was a terrible thing for him. Now, this last part I'm going to read, it's only going to take about 30 seconds. It's going to be straight from the excerpt because I feel like it's more fascinating to listen to it from Nat's point of view. Alright, here we go. I know not how long I might have led this life, if accident had not betrayed me. A dog in the neighborhood passing by my hiding place one night while I was out was attracted by some meat I had in my cave. It barked, on which, thinking myself discovered, I immediately left my hiding place and was pursued almost insistently until I was taken a fortnight afterwards. Mr. Benjamin Phipps cocked his gun and aimed at me. I requested him not to shoot, and I would give up, upon which he demanded my sword. I delivered it to him, and he brought me to prison. Now, Nat Turner would be hung on November 11th, 1831. The massacre he led only worsened the situation for the black community, because after his death, it would be illegal to teach slaves how to read and write in Virginia. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, thank you for 100 views. I'm surprised we got that much, but thank you guys. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Trying to teach the world history. Day or night, have a good one. See ya.